If I had a nickel for every time two movies of vastly different genres released on the same day this year, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice in 1 year. And I know I'm a little late to the party, but alongside Barbenheimer, we got Saw Patrol last month when Saw X and Paw Patrol the Mighty movie released on the same day. So I think it's only fair we combine the two like we did with Barbenheimer. But because I really don't want to put dogs into the Saw universe, we're instead going to be taking famous horror movie characters and turning them into dogs. Before we get started, I would like to really quick mention that the initial idea for this video was a suggestion by one of you. So Marcella Marie, if you are watching, I hope I'm saying your name right, but thank you so much for the suggestion. Present me, take it away. Let's get started. Hello? Hello? Jake woke up on the floor of a dark room, with one of his hands handcuffed to a pipe. The last thing he remembered was walking to his car after work, before everything went black. What is this? Where am I? As if to answer his question, a television flicked on. It was an older model, one with a beefy back, and one Jake hadn't seen since before he bought his luxury apartment. On the TV screen was a hooded figure, whose face was obstructed by shadow.
Hello, Jake. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Please, I'll pay you anything. Please, just let me go.
As expected, you've offered to bribe me for your escape. But Jake, it's not about the money. Not for me, that is. You, on the other hand, have thrown everything away for the sake of increasing your fortune.
Jake stopped his pleading. Based on the wording the figure used, you could tell the TV was playing a pre-recorded message. There was no one listening on the other side, just a recording of someone who knew him a little too well. The hooded figure continued.
Now you will pay the price for your greed, one that will cost you more than just money. Before you there are 2 doors. Behind the first door is the exit to this room. Behind the other sits every dollar you've ever made, but your wealth is guarded by a vicious beast. If you choose the first door, you will be granted freedom, but you will return to your life without a cent to your name. If you choose the second door, then the real game will begin. The door will open and release the beast, and it's up to you to survive its attack for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, provided you survive, you will be given the chance to leave here with your fortune in tow. If you choose not to play, an electric current will run through the pipe you're chained to, short-circuiting your brain in a matter of seconds. You have 2 minutes to decide. Live or die. Now the choice is yours.
A timer appeared on the far wall of the room, counting down the seconds. Jake sat and thought about his options. He abandoned everyone he knew and loved in the pursuit of wealth. If he left this room penniless, he would have literally nothing left. On the other hand, he was in pretty decent shape, so he might have a chance to win against the beast. The timer continued to tick down. There were only 10 seconds left to decide.
Make your choice, Jake. 5, 4, 3, 2.
The second door! I'll fight the beast!
Very well.
The second door opened, but Jake couldn't see anything inside except for pure darkness. But he was able to hear the sound of creaking metal. From the dark room emerged what seemed to be a children's tricycle. Only there was no child riding it. Instead, the tricycle was being ridden by a Maltese in a suit and a bow tie. The fur on its cheeks was painted with red spirals. Much to Jake's surprise, the dog was actually pedaling the tricycle.
This is JigsPaw. He's the one who really wants to play. Your survival timer starts now.
A smaller door on a side wall hissed open, and a tennis ball rode towards Jake and stopped at his feet. At the same time, the handcuffs around his wrist were released. The key to Jake's survival was clear. All he had to do was play fetch with JigsPaw. Jake reached for the tennis ball, expecting to be met with resistance from the dog. Instead, his tail only wagged faster the closer Jake got to the ball. For the next 5 minutes, Jake and JigsPaw played an uninterrupted game of fetch. When the time was up, JigsPaw dropped the ball and walked back through the door that it first emerged from. It came out a second later, pulling a large pallet piled high with dollar bills. Jake thought he would have been happy to see his money, but was just sad. The only thing he wanted to do in that moment was continue playing fetch with JigsPaw. Money held little importance to him now. As promised, the hooded figure let Jake and his money go after surviving the beast. However, when Jake returned to his life, he donated a majority of his money to various charities and made a point to continuously donate a large percentage of his income from that moment on. Charles' feet pounded on the pavement. His lungs were on fire, but he couldn't stop running. Or if he did want to stop running, he at least had to find a place to hide first. "Stop right there, Ray! We've got you!" Detective Mike Norris was hot on the trail of Charles Lee Ray. He was able to piece together the clues that linked Charles to a string of murders in the local area. Charles cursed himself for getting sloppy and allowing things to get to this point. He rounded the nearest corner, hoping to hide and let the detective pass, but there just wasn't enough distance between the two. Detective Norris pulled out his gun and fired a shot that struck Charles in the side. Charles tumbled to the ground, his side bleeding profusely. Running was no longer an option for him, which means he needed a place to hide. Charles approached the nearest building, broke the lock on the front door, and dragged himself inside. The inside of the building was dark, and Charles didn't know where he was or where to go, but he hoped the same darkness would shield him from Detective Norris. He was bleeding out fast, and in his effort to stay conscious, he fell over a desk, and Charles, along with everything on the desk, fell to the ground with a loud crash. Unfortunately for him, things never quieted back down. In response to the avalanche of desk items, came a chorus of barking from the adjacent room. Charles found himself in a dog shelter. He made his way into the room to try and get the dogs to quiet down, but he had very little energy left. He fell again and landed right outside the pen of a chihuahua, who was trying to bite Charles through the fence links. It was over for him. Either he was going to bleed out on the floor, or be arrested by Detective Norris. Except there was one other option for him, but it was a last resort. Charles had spent the last few months researching voodoo magic, and happened to know a chant that would allow him to put his soul inside of another living being. Charles placed one hand on the chihuahua's head and began chanting. Ade Dewey Dumbala! Ale Dewey Dumbala! Give me the power! I beg of you! A green mist swirled around Charles and the dog, and then, all was quiet. After several weeks of cleanup and damage repair, the dog shelter was open for business again. One day, Karen Barkley brought her 6-year-old son Andy to the dog shelter to adopt a dog for his birthday. Andy spent a few minutes meeting each of the dogs, but one that he really seemed to like was a little chihuahua. After all the paperwork was filled out, Karen and her son brought home the newest member of their family, Chucky Barkley. Andy and Chucky played together for hours on end, day after day. Andy even had his mom buy a costume for Chucky, a pair of overalls patterned with hardware tools, and an orange wig. Andy couldn't contain his excitement. He picked up Chucky and hugged him, squeezing him tight. Charles' soul couldn't take it anymore. The innocence and fun was sickening to him. Of course, he managed to possess the body of the one dog that got adopted by an annoying little booger machine. He needed a new host, and fast. This might be one of my favorite ideas that I've ever done. I so want to do a second round of this, so please comment down below what horror movie characters you want me to turn into dogs next. I've got a few in mind, but I want to hear your suggestions and what dogs you think they could be turned into. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you had fun with this video, feel free to hit that like button. I heard it glows now. This isn't a bit. I heard YouTube is now like syncing the glow button. I heard YouTube is syncing the glow button to like whenever a video says it. So if that actually happened, let me know, because I would love to see if that's true. And if you want more horror related content, last week I took a bunch of different Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics and venomized them. So I'll put that video up in the top, and if you want to know the music I was listening to while making this video, there will be a playlist link down in the description below. Once again, video for Five Nights at Venom's up here, playlist link in the description. That's all I got for you today. I'm KyngPin Creations, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.